I used to drink a lot. That started very, very early. Very early. Sometimes, I am talking about this and I want to talk about it, and I was in therapy for a very long time. You know about that. I think at the age of 7, 8, I was already drinking a lot.
Oh dear.
You taste once. I tasted once. It tasted bad. Then I drank a second time and a third one. And then it became something I was doing. I was smoking regularly. And it made me be able to face whatever was happening at that stage of my life.
The whole conversation about numbing, I think there's always such a negative connotation to it. But do we also take time to look at the other things that were surrounding you as a child during that time? And I mean, I've listened to you a lot about your story, and I know everybody goes through stuff, but my God, your life was totally crazy. But here you are, and you managed.
And I managed. Of course, I did not get a grade that would make me be called for the public universities, but my brother paid for a private
University.
college, university.
That's where I studied law.
That is where I studied law, and during that time, of course, there were other problems. We didn't have a lot of money. I was like walking a lot.
Are you still drinking and smoking weed, or had you not completely stopped that?
I had completely stopped that.
Okay. And you just stopped. You told yourself not drinking anymore, not smoking weed anymore.
With the drinking, it had almost stopped because I did not have access to alcohol anymore. At school. There were situations where the boys brought a bottle of something and would drink, but it was not this drinking all the time. And so eating became the thing. But then it was interchangeably eating and sports.
So there was a
there
was a balance.
It was some kind of a balance. So I did not even add weight or something. There were days, one boy, I could eat so much that at the end of the day, I would ask myself, at the end of the day means a meeting made at 3 at night. Where did all that food go to? At some point, I was feeling like it would be better if I'm not here. Hello and welcome to another episode of your favorite conversations, Far From Home Diaspora Conversations. Welcome back this week. We are happy to have you here. We are happy for your comments, for your likes. We appreciate you, and we don't take all of it for granted. And today we have a topic that maybe we touched last week but didn't get into it. But before we continue, I want to recognize our sponsors. Tizix Media will be telling you about them as we go on.
So also from me, hello everyone, and I'm glad to be here back. And Carol, you look amazing today. I love the pink.
Oh, thank you.
It's very courageous and it looks good on you. Really.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had to feel courageous for this topic today.
For this topic.
And maybe but you're also looking lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe some people are asking themselves, okay, what's the topic about today? We have brought with us a topic that is sometimes difficult to talk about. But as we started these conversations and we told you we are only going to have real conversations. So what we do is we tell you the truth, or we just don't talk about some things until we're ready. And last time, if you listen to our conversation, we touched a little bit into addictions. And I think actually right now we choose to call it forms of numbing because addiction is a huge term, and it has a lot of negative connotations. But forms of numbing, that is something that I think many people will identify with, when there are things you use to not feel your feelings. Some people say you eat your feelings when you eat chocolate. There are people who like eating chocolate. Some people go shopping. Some people smoke cigarettes. Some people drink. Whatever it is that you do, behaviors that you wish you would stop, but you don't stop. And today we really want to go into that. And I think it's an interesting topic also for the beginning of the year, because mostly it's at the beginning of the year when you look back at these behaviors and, well, you ask yourself, is it time to stop them? Can you actually stop them?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to look into that, and we are hoping that you can identify with this. We're hoping that this is helpful. And as usual, remember, we are talking about our experiences. So if this does not apply to you, that is perfectly all right. This we are telling you what we ourselves can say. These are our experiences. So, Carol, food addiction is a topic that we mentioned, or numbing. Maybe let's start with, in general, what have you used throughout the course of your life, maybe, to numb?
Yeah, that's like one boy said, that's a topic that has followed me almost all my life. Like, this thing, and that's why we're talking about numbing, because mostly it's trying to not feel, to not think about something, and you just take something, continuously take something that makes you not feel, not think, not confront yourself with the problems you're facing, or the things you're facing,
The reality.
the reality also. And I've had, I think, many addictions or numbing mechanisms almost all my life. And it started very early with alcohol. Last time when we had our episode about New Year's Eve and all that, I said that was not the first time I was taking alcohol. So it started very early in my life, because there was a lot happening in my life that as a child I could not deal with. And bad things that happen to children that you cannot even try to process in your head, and to not forget, but maybe to just be able to go on and face another day. I used to drink a lot. That started very, very early. Very early. Yeah, it sometimes, I am talking about this and I want to talk about it, but and I was in therapy for a very long time. You know about that. I think at the age of 7, 8, I was already drinking a lot.
Oh dear,
Yeah,
that's very early in
that's
life.
very early. Yeah, and it was not the drinking like you taste once. I tasted once, it tasted bad. Then I drank a second time and a third one, and then it became something I was doing. Like,
It became normal.
yeah, it became normal. And alcohol was available. I mean, not beer, not expensive alcohol. It was cheap liquor that was self brewed, and it was always there. And I would take that, and that went on for a long time, actually. And there was school, and a lot of that, where I sometimes was going to school almost drunk, and I was a bright student. Like, I was performing, and performing well, despite everything that was happening. And sometimes I think the alcohol was somehow helping. Like, it's wrong to say that, but I don't know what got me through all what was happening. And those are things that I might talk about. I don't know, might or might not, when I feel ready. Um, yeah, and then it went on after I went to high school. There I did not have alcohol available. So what was available was so what is it called? Now I have the German or the Swahili word, bangi.
Grass,
Grass, weed. Yeah, yes, yes. So that is what was available. And that is what I was taking. So I was smoking regularly. And it made me be able to face whatever was happening at that stage of my life. So it was, school, and in the beginning in high school, I was performing really badly. Simply because I had come from an environment that was the way it was. And then I went into this environment where there was a lot of freedom and another kind of freedom, like, as when I was in primary school, it was like I was bringing myself up. There was no one caring where I was or what I was doing, and so there was no structure at all for my life, no structure at all. So then I go to a structural environment where you have to be in class at this time. And of course, that comes with its own challenges, but also some kind of, I'm not going through the things I was going through when I was at home, for example.
You were sort of out of the madness.
Yeah, out of the madness. But then what was very challenging for me is lack of the basic things that were needed for school. For example, I was dealing with a lot of inferiority complex, because like the school I went to was a good school, and it was like so many kids that came from normal families, not even rich, normal, because I didn't know what normal was. My normal was very different. So there were children that were being cared for by their parents. There are children that, had a lot of things which I did not have. And somehow that made me want to also run away from that situation. So being high helped me.
And it does help.
Yeah.
I think it's also good to look at that, and it's the purpose that it's supposed to be serving. Like I've told you also about my addiction, and there's a psychologist, I think he's called Mate.
Gabor Mate.
Gabor Mate.
Yeah.
And he talks about addiction as a normal reaction to abnormal situations. And I have come to, because the whole conversation about numbing, I think it is always such a negative connotation to it. But do we also take time to look at the other things that were surrounding you as a child during that time? It was, and I mean, I've listened to you a lot about your story, and I know everybody goes through stuff, but my God, your life was totally crazy.
It was.
I don't even know how you survived it, to be honest. So sometimes I feel like those were things that you needed at that time. And I think it only becomes a problem when you overuse that, when you're no longer in that space and you're still numbing, then it becomes a problem. But probably, like you said, probably during that time, it probably saved your life.
I think so.
Yeah.
At some point, I think I don't know what would have happened to me if at that age, 7, 8, 9, if I wasn't drinking. I really don't know. And I was talking to my therapist a lot about that. And yeah, it's something, and the problem with me, or with many people who did such things, is that at that age you feel, and I was doing many adult things.
Mm.
So I feel or felt like I was responsible for all these things.
Mm.
And the mistakes I made and
Mm-hmm.
all that, it you know, it has been with me all this time, thinking how could I have done that?
Mm.
Why was I drinking at 8?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
just blaming myself. And I remember there was a time I was talking about me as a monster, because I've always felt like a monster, you know, and wanting to hide that part of me.
Mm.
Um, and the thing about therapy is that, you know, my therapist talked to me about that, and we somehow managed to turn that around and see this monster as the thing or person that was helping this young girl to be able to survive whatever she was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that it wasn't a bad monster in this case or something like that. Yeah. In every case, I said, like, in high school, I went through a lot of that. Um, and then towards the 4th year, where we were doing the examinations, KCSE, somehow I managed to turn things around, because, like, you know, I was always a bright student, and I always knew I was capable of learning. And I'm the kind of person, when I make a decision, then
push it
really
through.
I push it through. So I was like from 1, 2, 3, I was a D, almost E student.
Can't imagine that. I can't imagine
Really
you having an
bad.
E.
Yeah, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even, I didn't give our address. I gave a false address so that my report cards wouldn't be sent home. So nobody knew. My brother cared, but everybody else didn't. So, and every time he asked me, I would say, I gave them the address. I don't know what happened.
Know.
I don't know what happened.
Search
So,
me.
yeah. So they were not getting anything. They were not getting anything from me. But then, from 3, when we went home for the Christmas holidays, it was like something was switched on in my head, and I was like, this is now my last year. And knowing where I come from, I know that education is the only thing that is going to get me out of there.
Yeah.
And I've wasted 3 years. So I only have 1 year. So one boy,
What did you do?
starting that holiday, I studied and learned like a crazy person.
Wow.
I don't know how many hours I slept, because it was like a new person.
Wow.
And it was only, you did not find me anywhere else. I stopped smoking weed. I was just learning, just learning. When I went to pick my results,
What did you
a
have?
year later, there's a teacher who looked at me and shook his head and said, if we were not in that room where you are doing the exams, if we were not there monitoring, we would have said you cheated.
What did you get?
I got a B.
From D.
Yes.
From D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That is
and
crazy.
And I've always been an A student, but I messed that up. I fucked that up big time. And I regret that. But I still managed to come to a point where I could show my face, you know. And that was that.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. That year was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that is how I know that I'm capable of doing hard things. Because that was grinding. I cannot advise anybody to do that.
It's crazy.
Can you imagine? And you know, our exams are like starting from Form 1. So I was doing everything we started. I took my Form 1 books and I was giving myself 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, Form 1, 2 months. And it's not Form 1, 2 months, 1.
It's Form 1, all subjects, 2
all
months.
subjects. And I'm doing parallel
Lord.
to the Form 4 work that we were
my
doing.
God.
It was just crazy.
Oh God, that is so crazy.
It was crazy.
But
Yeah.
here you are,
Yeah.
and you managed.
And I managed. Of course, I did not get a grade that would make me be called for the public universities, but my brother paid for a private college,
University.
university. And
That's why you
so
studied law.
that is where I studied law. And during that time, of course, there were other problems. We didn't have a lot of money. I was like walking a lot.
Are you not still drinking and smoking weed, or had you not completely stopped that?
I had completely stopped that.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. And you just stopped. You told yourself, not drinking anymore, not smoking weed anymore.
Yeah. With the drinking, it had almost stopped because I did not have access to alcohol anymore. Yeah, at school. There were situations where the boys brought a bottle of something and would drink, but it was not this drinking all the time.
Continuous.
Yeah. So that was like not anymore. And then when I came out of high school, so I started numbing with sports.
I use a good thing.
It's a good thing, but it's also abuse of the body when it's done in very extreme ways.
You're right.
Yeah. And I was training like a crazy person. And for a very long time. And that continued for some time. There was no drinking. I think I was done with the weed. I didn't even crave it after that anymore. I actually never did that, smoke weed after that.
It served its purpose.
Yeah, I didn't. I just stopped and I was done with it. So even now as an adult, I have not done it, and I don't intend to do it. It's not anything I would want to do. So then I went through the process of college, and I started working there. I was still working out a lot, and then I came to Germany. And when I came to Germany, I think I told the story about my flight.
Yes.
And
where you were telling that poor guy to take pictures of you.
Yes, yes.
I remember.
Yeah, yeah. And that is years later, or just when I started doing the work on myself, I realized that it was at that point that I started numbing a feeling that was inside, that was, disturbing me somehow, but I did not want to confront it. I didn't want to think about it. And then I started eating. So it's like on that flight, I ate everything that was being given to me.
But on the flight, it's not like it's much food, is it?
It is. It was a lot compared to what I was used to. And the thing is, sometimes it's not a lot of food, but when you find yourself eating things that you'd normally not eat, forcing yourself to eat these things because you feel like I have to eat something now. It's being offered to me, I eat it. And that was, even this green jelly,
pudding
that I don't like. Yeah. I don't really like, but I was eating. And then when I came and started living here, even the first 3 months, I think I told the story about the bread, where I would go to the bakery, buy bread, a whole bread, eat it on my way home, get home, drink some water or something, then go back to the bakery and buy more bread.
For the house now.
For the house. I would still eat some on my way to the house, but then I would go to the house, now sit and like eat. Now I'm eating bread at home, but I've already eaten one. So that really started badly, this numbing with food, because I was in a situation where it was. Here is a quick one to tell you about our sponsors, TEDx Media. I've been working with TEDx Media for about 5 years now. And this has saved my life, literally saved my life. TEDx Media has a way of helping you to optimize your office work. So I am a very chaotic person. My office was looking like you can imagine it. And then TEDx Media came and they really helped me to optimize the processes, especially the processes of how I work, what should happen when, they came and advised me. They came and sorted out most of my files and all that, because I am not that. And then my website, it's beautiful because it is being maintained, it is being serviced by TEDx Media. And then the CEO of the company, Christian Tiedemann, who does all that, comes to you, advises you, he talks to you, he listens to your needs, and then crafts everything according to how you need it, but adding his professionalism in everything that he does, such that at the end of it all, and he will not use anything he doesn't think is okay for the person visiting your website. So if your photos are not good enough, then he'll not put them in. And that is the level of professionalism that I need when I'm working with someone, so that they just don't do everything I tell them to do. They tell me, okay, it's your website, but it has my name on it. So he will not do anything that is not professional enough. And the other thing is event management. Guys, these guys are so organized. TEDx Media is so organized. They have taken control and over. They organize our African festival, which happens every year. So I have nothing to do with it. The first year I organized it myself. I almost went crazy. And nowadays I just get calls, or when we're talking, it's a yes, no, no, and I have nothing to do with it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love working with these people. I love the way they, present themselves in a way that is, I will talk about professionalism the whole time, because that is what they are. They are professionals. And you see that in everything they do. When they're doing consultations with you, they are very specific in everything that they're doing. You can only be satisfied when you're working with TEDx Media. And I'm so glad that have trusted us now to sponsor our podcast. And I've been working with them all this time, satisfied with their work. I'll continue working with them. So please visit their website, www.tedx.de. That's www.tiedex.de. Visit them, because you'll be doing yourself a favor. Thank you so much. Yeah, a difficult situation, because some people will never understand how you can be maju or abroad and be stressed and be, I was so lonely and I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in this country. And I was with somebody who maybe did not understand, even start to understand what was happening to me. And this being alone, I did not have friends like you with whom I could talk. And so eating became the thing. But then it was interchangeably eating and sports.
So there was a ausgleich.
There was a balance. Things, it was some kind of a balance. So I did not even add weight or something. There were days, one boy, I could eat so much that at the end of the day, I would ask myself, at the end of the day means a meeting when at 3 at night. Where did all that food go to? When you start thinking about what you have eaten the whole day, you ask yourself, that is not humanly possible to stomach that kind of food.
Oh dear.
But I was. And the drinking came into the equation too. So now there are 3 things. It's
the sport, it's the drinking, and it's the food.
Yeah. I am completely out of tune with myself. Like I have no minute where I can sit with myself and think. I'm waking up in the morning, I'm running for 20 kilometers, I'm coming back, I am eating, at around 5 in the evening, I go to the gym, I train for 2 hours, I come back,
Wait,
I start
you went
drinking.
jogging for 20 kilometers?
Yes.
And then you still went to the gym in the evening?
Yes.
But wasn't your body hurting?
No, you don't feel. You're not feeling anything, one boy.
Crazy.
You are not feeling. You're just numbing. So it's like 20 kilometers in the morning, come eat.
For those who have no idea, 20 kilometers is like running for 2 hours very fast.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
a bit more than 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours is good.
2 hours is good.
Yeah,
Because I used to run
I
for
was
20
doing,
kilometers.
Yeah, I was doing under 2 hours. That time I was really fit.
That is
I was
so
fit.
crazy.
And then I would eat continuously. After that, continuously eat.
Are you
Then-
eating? Let me explore this a bit. Are you eating standing? Are you sitting down? What are you do? Are you eating from the fridge? How are you doing it?
all the time, standing, sitting. You know, I'm putting on television. I have something that I'm eating. When I finish with that, I stand up. I go get something else. And before, you know, it's like, oh boy, it's sometimes when you think about it, it's not anything that a normal mind can
It's not
comprehend.
rational.
It's not, because even the time I'm standing, putting in something to eat, I'm still eating. So it's without pause,
Continuous.
So I can't sit, I watch television, I'm continuing to eat. I go to the gym, do 2 hours, then come back, then I start drinking. So that became my life for some time, for a long time.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. And it continued. So sometimes it was more the eating, and then less sport. And that is where I started adding a lot of weight, of course, because in the beginning it was kind of balanced.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing 4-hour sports per day.
Sometimes even 5, sometimes even 6, one boy.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Sometimes it was just crazy.
How are you still surviving? I mean, that is so much stress for the body.
Yeah. And then
no wonder you were eating a lot. Wasn't it like you were really just overusing all the proteins in your body?
I was
at that point.
Yeah. I was, you know, for that kind of sport you need a lot.
Yeah.
And I was eating a lot. So and I wasn't sleeping enough.
Oh dear.
Definitely.
Bad combination.
Yeah. Just
how are you feeling? How are you feeling when you took the time to feel?
Just terrible. Just every time I would take a minute, I would start crying. And when I started crying, I started eating. So, and then
you didn't have to
or
cry
drink.
anymore.
Or drink.
Yeah. Empty.
I remember there was a time I drank so much. So much. And I think that is the last time I really had a blackout, like a blackout. It was the last time, not the first time. And I remember, I will tell this one day. I remember I had gone to work. That time I had already started working in the restaurant. And I went to work. I finished work at around 3. I went home. So I went home. I took out a bottle of cognac there was a cupboard full of drinks, you know, spirits. So I took out a bottle of cognac and I drank almost all of it. And then my husband then came home. I don't know, he had gone for a bicycle ride or something. So when he came home, he found me in this situation, and I wasn't looking like very drunk, like, you know, this drunk. I was looking tipsy, and then he said, "Can we go eat?" So go back to the restaurant where I was working to eat there. I said, "Yeah, let's go." So I went there, and it was in summer. We were sitting outside. So we were sitting outside. I had, at any time, there was beer and a shot. So I was drinking beer and a shot. And then inside, there was like here now, you can see, you can see, but opposite the counter, there was a table and there was a guy that was sitting there. He was the guy who was taking care of the house and all that. Housemeister. I don't know how that is called in.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And he was sitting there, he was drinking his beers. So I also had drinks there at his seat.
With the housemeister.
Yeah. And then inside the restaurant, there were guests.
I'm already having a headache. I'm actually having a headache just by listening. Yeah.
Inside the restaurant, there were guests that were my friends. So I had 3 stations with drinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I would drink outside. I would come. His name was Herzwaffing. I would sit with him. I would drink a beer with him. Then go to the guests, drink with them, take a shot, drink a beer. On my way back, of course, Herzwaffing. We drink one together and then go outside.
If I drank like that, I would die. Hey.
It was bad. It was so bad. I don't know how I got home. I don't know. It was just bad.
How did you feel the next day?
Bad. And I had to work the following day at lunchtime.
God.
My head was throbbing.
I know
It was so bad. Then I decided I'm stopping alcohol like this, this much. So I stopped taking shots for some time. So I was only drinking beer. So this alcohol thing has always been
but it has never been like, like now with me that it was a serious big deal.
The thing about my numbing things or my addictions is that I can stop abruptly. I can now decide I'm not drinking. I'm with the eating. I'm not eating. I'm just now, eating healthy things. But then I think I go into sports. So there's always
something you're numbing with.
Yeah, there's always something. The sports is a good one. So nowadays I'm restricted, I think, by my age. I cannot do these extremes.
Which is actually, I think 6 hours of sport is not
a lot.
healthy.
It's a lot, yeah. Yeah. So, but that went on for a long time. And then after we opened the restaurant, it was also bad with not sleeping, really refusing to sleep. Like I am sleepy, but I am not going to sleep.
Why?
It's like punishing yourself. I don't know. Sometimes it's just crazy when you think about it. It's just crazy.
And that is so crazy making. Like sleep is
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. How did you not get a psychosis?
I don't know. Boy, I think God has always protected me because the things and I remember you've told me a lot because also in the process of writing my book, I'm still in that process. And sometimes I stop for a long time when I feel like it's too much. Because I think people don't realize when you're writing an honest book, how tiring and also it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will stop for months. Like now I have stopped for some months where I'm not opening that laptop to write anything because I feel drained.
Yeah, it's emotionally taxing.
Yeah, it is very taxing. And because I want to be honest. And, what my therapist told me is write that book the way you feel at this moment. Whatever comes into the book later, you can decide that later, but pour all of it out, pour everything out. And that is what I'm doing. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So this process also of speaking to a therapist and has helped me a lot in so many ways. I still find myself going into this numbing. There was a time I was calling it a big dark hole where I go in, and when I'm in that hole, it's everything. It's eating, it's drinking, it's not sleeping. It's everything all together. And I don't take care of myself at all. It's like the last time I was in that very, very dark hole was was it around October, November
Mm.
of
The other
2022,
year.
2022.
Mm.
And that was a bad one.
Mm.
That
Oh
was
yeah, I
really
remember
bad
that
one.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you were writing me messages every morning
Yeah.
and to a point where boy, I told you that, that I was sleeping on the floor.
Mm.
I didn't, I didn't feel worthy
Worthy.
of my bed.
Mm.
So, and the thing is, I'm sitting on the sofa, I am drinking and I am eating, and my eating is so bad that I will stand up at 2 a.m. So I don't have a lot of food in my house because, we do a lot here in the restaurant. So mostly we also eat here and we are finished here. So in my house, sometimes there's not a lot.
Mm.
So I'll open the deep freezer. I'll look what is inside.
Mm.
I will I'll start cooking ugali at 3 in the morning.
Oh dear.
And I will eat that ugali with whatever is available,
Mm.
even, almost still frozen beans.
So it's not even food you're enjoying.
No, it's just I need to put in something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a bad time.
Mm.
Like I was waking up, standing up, going, cooking, eating, and then I would come back. And at some point I would feel sleepy around that time, 3:30. And my sofa is big.
Mm.
Like even if I don't
It's a
want to
very
bed,
comfortable sofa.
I could
Actually,
sleep on that
I
sofa.
sleep there sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't sleep there. I then went and slept on the floor.
You know, when you told me that, that really broke my heart. That was so sad. It was really, really sad. And because I had never taken food addiction seriously, because like I've told you, I had alcohol addiction, and I thought that's the worst addiction you could have, because I used to punish myself every day. I used to ask myself, why would you? I was brought up well. I was brought up in church, like I've said. Really, I grew up in church.
Yeah.
Why would I? But when you told me about food, I started to say, addiction really, it doesn't matter. It's such a self-punishing thing,
Yes. Yes.
because like you're saying, I cannot imagine eating anything frozen, right? It cannot go through my system.
But you eat it.
You eat it.
Yeah. You eat it.
Yeah.
And you eat so much. One boy, there are times I could eat 5 chapatis like this and continue with beans and meat when I was eating meat, and just follow it up with a lot of other things. And that is why I'm saying sometimes you look at what you've eaten in one day and think it's not humanly possible to stomach that kind of food.
It is actually. It isn't.
It isn't. But you're not feeding a hunger. You're not feeding the normal hunger. You're feeding something. You're feeding a hole that you can never fill, no matter what you take. Yeah. It can never fill up.
Yeah.
It's
a
just
black hole.
empty. You're just empty. And you can put whatever you want in there. It just goes somewhere. I don't know where. Of course, you see the weight, but even in relation
to what you tell me, even your weight doesn't, because if in my imagination you should be huge, but you're
200
not.
kilo. Yeah.
So it's really, but the body is amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That it recuperates after that.
Yeah. And that is the thing. And that time, that year, 2022, I was broken. I was broken. And you can imagine not sleeping or sleeping for 1-2 hours and then waking up and wanting to look normal and be normal for your kids.
Jesus, especially when you have kids.
Yeah. You feel so broken. You feel so like every day I did not want to wake up. At some point, I was feeling like it would be better if I'm not here. And that is when I was like, oh my God. When you start having suicidal thoughts, because I was so done and so tired that I was feeling like my kids don't need a mother like me. They are better off maybe with their father and such things. It was just bad.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And then I fasted the 10 days.
That's what I was about to ask. How
Yeah.
did you get out of that?
Yeah. This fasting thing, it is the one that got me out of, because even with the business and all that, I was like done. I did not want to go on. I was ready to close everything, and I was
Give up.
just
Done.
I was done.
Yeah.
Like done.
Yeah. Sick and tired.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after 3 days, 4 days of fasting, I was like, zack. I've, that year, from 4 year, how I managed to get a B after, I can turn this thing around. I can, I started, I don't know if you've read the book here from this guy, David Goggins. It's amazing.
What is it called?
He talks, he was a Navy SEAL and he has done some of the craziest things.
What's the book called?
It's called Can't Hurt Me. Yeah. And he's written another one, Never Finished or something like that. It's also a good one. It's crazy stuff. That guy runs 100 miles or more than 200 kilometers with broken legs. He just can't give up. He just, that kind. And there's a topic he had which was very fascinating. He calls it cookie jar. A cookie jar is, he has it from his mother who had cookies, and you could pick one cookie every time something happened. And in life, he has adopted that cookie jar. And every time something is not working, and so he goes into that cookie jar and picks, it's like remembering. There was a time I was in this kind of a situation and I managed to, get out of it. And I've managed to get out of extreme situations.
Yeah, you have.
Without help. And that is why I have a problem with asking for help. Like,
because you've managed alone.
I've always managed alone. In so many ways, I've managed alone. So I went into my cookie jar and I was like, this time this happened, I was able to. And this business, why am I thinking that I cannot pull this off? Why am I, I was like, I'll start doing this. And of course, with consultation or with Christian, we are changing this, we are going to do this, and we are here now, 2024.
And you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
How are you numbing these days?
Um,
Or don't you need to do it anymore?
I don't know if I'm doing it, but I think I feel like I have regulated a lot. So even if I am numbing, it's not destroying me in any way. So I'm moderately doing sports. I am, eating healthy. The drinking doesn't. I can say that I'm not drinking. Yes.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, and it's been some time, like I've learned from you every day, one day at a time, just one day at a time.
Yeah.
When that day is gone, I'm eating very healthy. I'm doing all these healthy things, and I feel amazing. I feel
That is
amazing.
so good.
Yeah.
I'm
And
so
I'm
happy
not,
for you.
it's so stressful at the moment, even here in the restaurant, and people are sick, and I, sometimes I'm just alone, and I just sometimes wake up in the morning and think, how am I going to go through this day? And then I come to the kitchen and I'm like, now I'm chopping onions. I chop these onions to the end. When I'm done with that, I do the next thing. That's what I can do.
Yeah.
I can do more than that.
Yeah.
So it's this thing and finish that and go to the next and finish that and go to the next. That's how I'm surviving or thriving, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's actually life.
Yeah.
It's just us who always think about the next thing while we are doing this thing now. But actually, life is doing what you're doing now.
What you're doing now, and finish that up.
Yeah.
Then go to the next.
Yeah.
And that is how I'm managing.
Yeah.
And What I know for sure,
What I know for sure.
100% sure,
Mhm.
every day ends.
Amen. It does.
It does. No matter what you're going through,
Yeah,
that day will come to an end.
it will.
So no situation is permanent.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mic drop moment.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much for being so very vulnerable with your story.
Yeah. But
Uh,
you have always created that space for me
Yeah.
to be vulnerable, and although we have cameras running now, it always feels like I'm having this conversation with you. And because I feel so comfortable talking to you, and you know a lot about me, that's why I've learned to be very vulnerable because of you
Thank
holding
you.
that space for me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And of course, to our listeners, if you've listened to this and you are going through a rough time, and you're numbing, and I don't know if you've come to that point of the big dark hole, please ask for help.
Yes.
It's okay to ask for help. Of course, it's also okay if you can get out yourself, but if you cannot,
Ask for help.
ask for help. There's no shame
Yeah.
in that.
No.
And there is enough people who will help. And you're not alone. And you're not a bad person.
That's
So
important, Tomboy. You're
that's
not a bad
important.
person.
No.
You're not a bad person because you're doing all these things. Sometimes you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
And you feel like, there's no way I'm gonna go through this.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you come out of it.
You
And
do.
yeah.
It's
And that
possible.
monster nowadays, I have learned to talk to that monster.
Mm-hmm.
Like even taming it sometimes,
Mhm.
because I realize, and when you grow up the way I did, there's a quote, I don't know if I can remember exactly what it was. I had even written about it on Facebook. Children who adapt and become who they are because of their situations.
Mhm.
And that child, protective, adaptive, something with protective and adaptive. So that child has always been very protective. That monster that I call monster, very, very protective of me. And that is the part of me that comes out almost, yes, yes.
Of
Because
course.
it's just protecting. It has to
It's
protect
a fight.
me.
It's in a fight mode. Yeah.
So my life has been one big fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what comes out to protect me. So if you come to me and talk to me, sometimes I don't know where to place that. So the part that comes out is
Fight.
yeah. And now I'm learning to tame that and, just saying, we are okay. We are not in a battlefield anymore. We are okay. We are doing fine. Carol, we are doing fine.
I like that you're talking about yourself in plural form.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have learned to embrace
Yeah, exactly.
and be okay with, these are part of me that I have needed
Yes.
for a very long time in my life, that I don't necessarily need all the time now. Sometimes it's necessary. It is. But we are okay. We can sit and relax and be comfortable. We are doing fine.
I also tell myself sometimes we are big now.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
really helps me a lot. We are
Yeah.
big now.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in that fight mode, I forget that I'm a grown up.
Yeah, exactly.
I get into this child space
space.
I'm gonna die or something is gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just this reminder we're big now.
We are big now.
I can walk away.
Yeah.
And I can fight back as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Or walk
and
away.
These people
depending.
who used to hurt me, they have no power over me anymore.
No, they don't.
No.
Yeah.
We are fine.
We are fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks too. So I think
I don't even have a question for
think
you.
I feel like I could start crying right now. So I think we just say bye-bye for now. And,
Bye-bye.
yeah.
We love you.
Thank you so much.